This is just a little bit more sophisticated way to handle variables. We are going to do this in advanced briefly. It's a really, I really like to do it this way. Other people do not. I just want to show you another way. Please note this is optional. The other way that we did the variable very much mimicked what we did in Captivate, so you're fine. It's all you need to know. People love it when you can report a name. But I want to show you a different way that we can do variables, and that's by using the true-false variable. It's a very efficient, very matter-of-fact way to use and update variables, so let me show you that. I know we briefly discussed this, but I want to show you, just like in every walk of life, solve for x. So here in the top right, you can see manage project variables is that little x. So I'm going to create a variable now. More often than not, when you want to do things with variables that aren't kind of associated to objects within these authoring tools, you need to create the variable first so we can call to it quickly enough and test it. So I'm going to click on this little variable button, and you can see there's username, the one that I had made earlier, and you can see that it's used twice. There's that text entry, the default one. It's still in there because it's default, but since we renamed it, it keeps an instance and then just shows us ours. We want a new one now. I'm going to update by using the plus here, and it's going to say, what do I want to say? I'm going to call it name underscore inputted. And I want to set that to true or false. You can also see there's a number down there. And what you're going to want to do with numbers is a scoring variable. That's advanced authoring, but I just wanted to give you an example of what that might be for. Or another way to do it is, say you wanted to do a module for an alcoholic beverage. And you could say, if the inputted number is greater than 21, show the next button. Stuff like that. But here we go. I'm going to do this one true or false. And I want to set it to false. I just feel like it's more appropriate to start false and then set it to true. So I'm going to hit OK, and then there you can see we have a variable called name inputted. It's the true false type. The default value is false, and right now we're not using it all. So that's fantastic. I'm just going to hit OK. If I wanted to make, say I wanted to change the name of it, if I wanted to get back in there, all I have to do is go back to that X and click on it, and then of course there's all these things on the bottom that we know all too well. So now I have a variable called, I don't even remember, but we'll get to that in a minute. So let's say instead of just this randomly happening, I don't want that next button down here to show up until the name inputted variable is true, right? So I can do that now. So I can click on this and it'll say action, change state of the next button to normal. But this time not when timeline starts or not that whole lose focus thing, but when the variable changes. So I'm going to look, let's see. Do I see that? Variable changes right here. And then it's going to ask me what variable, and it's going to be named inputted. We don't have to do anything at the moment, right? Because it is false. We're saying when it changes. So it's automatically going to notice when it changes to true. So I'm just going to hit OK for now. And I want to say set equal type. I'm going to do this. I'm going to delete that. So here we go. I'm going to test it out. There it is. Type my name there. Okay. Brian J. Seeley. Oh, darn it. So before it was updating when it lost focus, meaning when I clicked outside this box. But I changed it. Right? I changed to say, we'll change the state of that when the variable changes, and then it's that named inputted. So I need now to have some sort of trigger that changes that variable from false to true, right? So all I'm going to do is go over here, and it's going to say action what, and I'm going to go down here, go down here, and it's adjust variable. See that? So I'm going to adjust variable, and the very first thing it asks me is, well, what variable do you want to adjust? And then I get to click down here, and it just lists it. I'm going to say name inputted, and then it says operator assign. That one we don't have to mess with. But then I get to change the value to true. And here we go. It says adjust variable, name inputted, it's a variable we created, to the value of true. When do I want that to happen? I know this seems a little redundant, but I'm just trying to show you how to use variables. I want that to happen when the control loses focus. And that is going to be then on that text entry box that we created earlier. But here's the cool thing that you get to do, and you should get into the habit of this. There's something happening in the background, right? I named a variable, and I called it, goodness, I keep name inputted. I don't know if it's actually working or not, so I want to make sure there's an instance of that on the stage so I can see if it's working or not. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to say insert text box. Right? So I'm going to draw this text box. And now I have two options. Right? I can do percent name underscore inputted percent, just like we did with the username. Or, because I'm not sure if I named it correctly or I don't want to make a mistake with the spelling, I can go up here to insert, over here to reference. And the moment that I click reference, you see that my variables come up. And I can just click on name inputted, hit OK, and look how it automatically put percent name inputted percent on there. So I'm going to put that down here. All of this stuff is not necessary. I know, I just kind of get into the habit of it. Apologize. Okay, so now I'm going to preview this. And without me having done a darn thing, you can see that right there it says false. Right? So now I'm going to type my name, Brian J. Seeley. The moment I lose focus, so click out of this, you can see that moved to true, and then my next button showed up. Okay? Yeah, well, you know why that is. All right. So I wanted to show you that because now if I come down to my tab interaction, right, you can see that there's another way I could have done this as well, right? Like I could have said tabbed visited. And I could have said, if all three of these are set to true, go ahead and show that next button. Right? So just there's so many different ways to do this, but your number one way to be the most efficient is to use built-ins, right? So when you come up to this tab scenario, try to use as many built-ins as, this variable scenario, try to use as many built-ins as you can. And of course with the tab the same. But that was just a true-false variable that it's not required, just optional for those interested.